श्रीमान वेंकटनाथार्य कवितार्किक केसरी वेदांताचार्य वर्यो में सन्निधत्तां सदाहृति व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्ते पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे सुखतातं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। श्रीवासरंगपरकालमुनित्रयाप्तलक्ष्मात्मरक्षणैतिद्युगागमान्तम् आचार्य भक्ति परिपूर्णमनर्गशीलं गोपालदेशिकमुनिं गुरुमाश्रयामः। यत्र योगेश्वर कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयो भूतिर्ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम. So we had a kind of introduction and preamble and avatarikai during the last two sessions, especially last week. We had a glorious Gita Dhyana Slokam, which is a wonderful Dhyana Slokam we had, wherein we enjoyed the Sarvopanishado Gavo Dokta Gopala Nandanaha Partho Vatsasudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gita Amritam Mahat. So all the Upanishad, the Shruti Siras, the Vedas Antam, Vedantam, the head of the Vedas called Upanishads, they are all like the cows. And the cowherd boy, Krishna, is the milkman, is the one who milks the cow, the milks the Upanishad. And who is the calf? Arjuna. So taking Arjuna as the pretext, the cows give milk to us, the humanity. And the milkman takes the milk and distributes to us. So Krishna, out of his compassion, he blessed us with this Bhagavad Gita. But in the Gita Dhyana Slokam last week, I intentionally did not include sixth Slokam, which I am going to include now. Bhishma Drona Tata Jayatrata Jala Gandhara Nilotpala Shalyagrahavati Kripena Vagani Karnena Velakula Ashwattama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhana Vartini Sotirna Kalu Pandavairana Nadi Kaivartaka Keshavaha Bhishma Drona Jayatrata Jala Gandhara Nilotpala. Such a wonderful slokam. Here again, last sloka we saw that the cows are the Upanishads are the cows. Krishna is the milkman. Arjuna is the calf. We are all drinking the milk that is coming out of the Upanishad called Bhagavad Gita, blessed by Krishna, milked from the Upanishad. And this slokam, it says, the river, the Kurukshetra is the battlefield in which there were many, the Kauravas and the Pandavas, the hundreds of Kauravas, 100 brothers, Pandavas, this side 5 brothers, and their kith and kin, the relations, the sons, grandsons, the acharyas, the pitamahar, the cousins, uncles, everybody was there, the friends of that group and this group. And Krishna with Pandava and the armies on the other side. So here they are comparing the battle of Kurukshetra is the river. And Bhishma and Dronacharya. Bhishma is the grandfather of Pandavas and Kauravas. The Bhishma and the Dronacharya is the Acharyan of all these Pandavas and Kauravas. They are the banks of the river. The banks, the river shore. Jayatrata is the water. And the prince of Gandhara is the blue water lily, the flower. Salya is the crocodile, is the Madhalai. And Kripacharya is the current, is the turbulent water. Karna is the highest wave which will pull you in. Ashwattama and Vikarna are the sharks, terrible sharks. And with Duryodhana as the whirlpool, the Sulal. Duryodhana is the whirlpool which will suck you in and drown you in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And this was crossed by the Pandava. Such a beautiful manner the sloka has been composed. So Bhishma and Drona are in the side of Duryodhana. They are the greatest warriors. The Acharya, the Guru who taught them the archery. And the Bhishma was the grandsire, greatest warrior. They are all on the other side. And when with them, the whirlpool, the Karna, Ashwatthama, Vikarna, Duryodhana, how they could cross? Because of none other than the ferryman who is Keshavaha. The boatman is Keshava. They crossed. Thiruvalluvar says, Piravi Perungadal Ninduvar, Nindar, Iraivan Adi Sheradar. The ocean of samsara, Piravi Perungadal, the ocean of samsara. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Adi Shankara says in Bhagavad Gita, in Bhajagovindam. Again and again we are born because of our karma vasanas, bounded by karma, punya papams. One punyam, 100 papams. That's what we do. Punyam also unintentionally we do. Papam intentionally we do. And because of that, the heaps and heaps of papams. Because of that, we are born again and again. Because of some inadvertently done good deed, we are born human beings. We are blessed to have this opportunity of going through these scriptures. We are blessed to be born with the discriminatory power, the intellect, the paguttarivu so-called. We are able to distinguish good and the bad, the evil and the wrong and the good one. So with that discriminatory power, aridaridu manidarai pirattal aride. It's extremely rare to be born a human being. Otherwise we would be born as a mosquito, a cockroach, or even Rakshasas, Asuras, or the one who declared that Sanatana has to be destroyed. We could be born like that, but we are blessed to be born in this kind of body with an opportunity to listen to my rambling. In spite of mine, you are still listening because of the blessed Bhagavad Gita. And we Piravi Perungadal, if we perform Sharanagati, unconditional, unflinching self-surrender to the Lord, Mahavishnu, Sri Krishna, Piravi Perungadal Ninduvar, then they would be able to cross the ocean of samsara. Nindar, they would not cross. Who? Iraivan Adi Sheradar, those who do not surrender to his lotus feet. Simple. The same sloka talks about it. Such a beautiful manner it talks. Hence, I did not want to include last week and I wanted to include now because we are now entering into the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveda Veta Yuyutsavaha Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. So here Dhritarashtra says in the Dharmakshetram, the Kurukshetra battlefield is a Dharmakshetra, and in the battlefield there are so many army. On Pandava's side there is 7 Akshohani. Akshohani is one measure of army, and in the Kaurava's side there are 11 Akshohani. What is one Akshohani? I was wondering. And the commentators say, the Vyakyata, the people who have written the books, excellent commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, they have said, one Akshohani means there are 21,870 chariots and 21,870 elephants and 65,610 horses and 109,650 soldiers. That is one Akshohani. One Akshohani consists of this: 21,870 chariots, 21,870 elephant, 65,610 horses, 109,650 soldiers. One Akshohani. And Pandavas had 7 Akshohani. Kauravas had 11 Akshohani. 11, much bigger. They had 11. And they were all there assembling and preparing themselves for the battle. They were all there. And Arjuna and Krishna entered. And Arjuna said, just take me slightly inside. Senayor Ubayor. Senaya Ubayorim. So just between the two armies, please put my chariot inside. The Sarveshwaran, the Lord of the universe, the Ubaya Vibhutinathan, Sriman Narayanan, who is Lord Krishna here, he is the Parthasarathi, he is the charioteer, driver, chauffeur. The chauffeur was instructed, Krishna, take me to the center. I want to see who is inside and who is outside. So when you walk into the platform, to the dais, you cannot just like that go and deliver the talk or do your action. You have to see who is the audience, which age group, what is the mixture, whether they would like to have a sense of humor or they are grumpy old people. You need to know. So he wants to assess the army and his side and the other side. So take me to the middle. So he went to the middle, and there we know that the moment he saw his cousins, his uncles, his sons, his brothers' sons, his grandsons, his acharyas, his grandfather, everybody is on the other side as well as in his side. So if at all there is a battle which is going to start now, and if at all he wins or the other side wins, there will be full of tragedy. There will be heavy casualty, both sides, and one side will win, other side will lose. Lose means it's not just losing and going home, dying, getting killed, and the elephants, horses, everyone gets killed. So he became panicky, anxiety. So he is supposed to be the best warrior as per Dronacharya. He was the best among all, Arjuna. And his bow just slipped, fell down automatically without his knowledge. His knees became weak. He fell down. So here the wonderful thing is, while this was going on, what happened? Our friend Duryodhana, he says, aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishmabhirakshitam paryaptam dvidame tesham balam bhimabhirakshitam. He says, aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishmabhirakshitam paryaptam dvidame tesham balam bhimabhirakshitam. He says, their side, Pandava's side, will win. Our side will lose. In my view, Duryodhana tells Bhishma. Why did he say that? I just told you, they have 11 Akshohani, 11 groups of army, whereas Pandavas have only 7. But he says, in my view, they will win, we will lose. Duryodhana starts off with a negative note. Why did he say that? Our Bhagavad Ramanujacharya has written in his commentary, Gita Bhashyam. He says, it's because of the fear. Duryodhana was arrogant, aggressive. He did not want to give even an inch to Pandavas. When they asked for a land, they said, give me at least 5 villages. Krishna went as a messenger and asked, give Pandavas their due. They have a right for the land. They have to rule at least 50%, at least 5 cities, 5 villages, 5 houses. He says, I will not even give a land where the Gundus in Nilam Kuda Kudka Mudiya. Even a pin can stand, I would not give. Such was a haughty-headed fellow. He refused to give. That's why the battle started. And now he says, I have a fear that I will lose. Why? Because the other side, our Sarvajnan, Sarvashaktan, Sarveshwaran, Krishna is there. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdaraha, Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. At the end of Bhagavad Gita, last chapter, final slokams, Sanjaya, the one who was blessed to have a vision, like a live telecast, live streaming. He saw the live streaming of in a YouTube in front of his eyes, the entire battlefield, the conversation, everything with a zoom he saw. And there finally he says, wherever there is Krishna and Arjuna, there would always be victory. This is my verdict. Sanjaya says to Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra was blind. He wants to know how the battle is going on. So Vyasa gave him a jnana drishti, a blessed vision those days. Vyasa blessed Sanjaya in the palace to visualize what's happening in the battlefield. So I wanted to bring that. Ramanujacharya mentioned that this is because of the fear in him. The fear will be there when you are not having a faith in the Lord. Whoever it may be, they may be talking all agnostic things, atheistic things, that there is no God. If God had been there, it would have been better. All that they can talk, but they will have an inherent fear inside their heart. Whereas for those who have surrendered to Him, nirbharo nirbhayosmi, no fear, no bhayam, no bharam, no burden. So he is called, he would completely get us rid of all fears. Bhayakrit bhayanashanaha. He is the one who creates, instills fear in people as well as removes fear from people. And how Ramanuja wrote such an extensive, beautiful, unambiguous, crystal clear commentary on Bhagavad Gita. He wrote such a beautiful, systematic commentary. Adi Shankara had written a beautiful commentary. We are all going to enjoy them in the next few weeks, maybe for a year. But Ramanuja had written this because of his Acharya by name Alavandar, Yamunacharya, who had written the Gitartha Sangraham. He wrote 32 slokams on Gitartha Sangraham, the summary of Gita. It is a summary of Bhagavad Gita. So, okay, what is the big deal? Summary of Bhagavad Gita, summary of Bhagavad Gita. That's not a big deal. He wrote a summary. But this is not just a summary. It gives exactly an epitome, the personification of the entire Gita. First slokam itself is a beautiful slokam where it gives a summary of the 18th chapters, straight away. He said, Swadharma jnana vairagya sadhya bhakteka gocharaha Narayana Parabrahma Gita Sastre Samiritaha. This one slokam is a summary of 18 chapters. And the second slokam is a summary of 6 chapters, first to 6 chapters. The third slokam is a summary of second 6 chapters. The fourth slokam is a summary of third 6 chapters. So he completes in 4 slokams the entire Gita. And then what happened? Each slokam is a summary of each of the chapters. And then what happened? He gives the recapitulating what's happening. He gives again revision for mandamatis, for dull-headed fellows like me. He wants to refresh that what was told in the first 6 and slightly extends that. So Alavandar Yamunacharya was so intellect, a genius that he was. He learnt from his Acharyan. His grandfather name was Sriman Nathamuni, who had a vision of Swami Nammalvar and blessed us downloading the entire Nalayar Divya Prabandham. Sriman Nath, his grandfather, he meditated on Swami Nammalvar, who lived thousands of years before. And he meditated on him, and Nammalvar appeared in his vision and delivered not only his verses in Tamil, all other Alva's verses to Sriman Nathamuni. That's how we got the entire Nalayar Divya Prabandham. Another day we will talk about Sriman Nathamuni. Now I would like to talk about Alavandar, Yamunacharya, who is the grandson of Nathamuni. This this Yamunacharya studied from one Sri Vaishnava, and he studied from his Acharyan called Manakal Nambi, and he was about 16 years old, this Yamunacharya, and he studied Veda, Vedantam, Shastram, logic, the Tarka Shastram, everything, grammar, Sanskritam, Vedam, all that. Once an arrogant Vidwan by name Akki Alvan, he challenged and he humiliated the learned man. You may be very well knowledge scholar, but you should have humility. Give respect to others. Everybody is blessed with an intellect because of God's grace. We should never be arrogant just because we are a little bit more intelligent than the other person. It's all His grace. So this Akki Alvan went to the Chola king and said, I am the Vidwan. Nobody can challenge me. I will accept the challenge if somebody comes. I will say I am his servant if he wins. If he does not win, if the person who challenges me from your kingdom, if he does not win, like we see in Thiruvilayadal, the Panapattar and that, if he does not win, then the entire kingdom is my slave. So the king was so panicky. Then he gave an announcement, especially to Yamunacharya's Acharya. And Yamuna, the 16-year-old boy, he said, don't worry, chief, boss, Acharya, I will go. Please bless me. The 16-year-old boy went to the court, the king's court, to argue, to give tarka. The queen was so overwhelmed and impressed with the boy's tejas. Look at his divine face. She told the king he is going to win. The king laughed. He said, boy, this Akki Alvan is a Vidwan. I am scared that we will become his slave. The queen said, okay, if he wins, what will you do? Okay, if he wins, I will give half of my kingdom to that boy. But if he loses, what will you do? He asked her. He said, I will throw myself to be thrown to the wild dogs if the boy fails. She had so much faith in him. Okay, now Akki Alvan is seated. The boy was asked to sit. The Akki Alvan said, you are a young child, baby. So I give you a chance. You give 3 statements which I will counter. If I am not able to counter your statement, you are the winner. If I am able to counter, you are the loser. Is that okay? Just tarka, logic, nothing else. No Vedantam, no Shastram. But it should be based on Dharma Shastram, based on Dharma. You cannot just like that talk to based on your whims and fancies. So Yamunacharya made 3 statements, stated 3 statements. And he asked Akki Alvan to counter. What are the 3 statements? 1. Sir, your mother is not a barren woman. Your mother is not a barren woman. So, naturally, he cannot counter that his mother is a barren woman. He said, your mother is not a barren woman, means not a malady, means she has a child. How can you counter? Because Akki Alvan is the son of that mother. So he said, I pass. Last, number 1, tick. Number 2, statement. The king is a Sarvabhauman, means righteous and the most powerful ruler is the king. Obviously he cannot counter. He said, no, he is not most righteous and powerful. He cannot afford to say. The king will cut his head, behead him. Second statement, pass. Because he cannot counter. The third statement, he said, the queen is a model of chastity, pativrata. The queen is a pativrata, the model of chastity. Oh no, he can never counter this. You cannot say, no, the queen is not a model of chastity. You cannot say. So, Akki Alvan accepted defeat. And the king said, okay, just like that you said 3 statements. But can you disprove your statements? He asked Yamunacharya. Our king asked, you cannot just like that make some 3 vague statements, weird statements, and asked him to counter. Obviously, he could not counter. But can you counter those three statements? Yamuna said, yes, I can. Number one, the sacred law, the Shastra says, one son, if you have only one child, that is not a son at all. Because those days, maybe, the child mortality rate was very high. So you have to have more than one child for you to have the lineage continue. The son, you should have at least more than one son, as per the Shastra. If you have only one son, it is considered as good as barren. So Akhi Alvan's mother, because he was the only child, as good as a barren in the eyes of the law, in the eyes of Dharma Shastra, number one. So it's countered already. Number two, the king cannot be called a righteous ruler, because if you entertain such an arrogant person as the person to challenge you, you should have simply dismissed for his arrogance. He should have humility. Vidya dadati vinayam. The vidya should give vinayam. That is one. Secondly, no person, no human person can be a most powerful. Only the Lord can be powerful. So this means Akhi Alvan being entertained this much shows that the king is indeed powerless. Second, king smiled. And three, queen is a model of chastity. How are you going to counter? He paid his namaskaram to the queen. Please forgive me, queen, for saying this. Every woman, as per Shastras, before getting married to the person whom she is getting married to, as per the Shastras, as per the Vedic ritual in the wedding, is first wedded to Soma, and then Gandharva, and then Agni, and Agni hands over to the earthly partner. And that is the case for all Vedic rituals, all Vedic wedding. That's the way the Vedic ritual forms. So the queen was not an exception. She also got married in the Vedic rites, and she was first wedded to Soma. It's only a mantra. Then Gandharva, then Agni handed over to the king. So therefore, by logic, it cannot be considered model of chastity. This is only to drive home a point that a tarkam, a logic, cannot be the solution always. You have to fall back on Shastras, the Veda Vakyam, the Upanishad, the Itihasam, the Puranam, the Mahabharatam, the Ramayanam, Bhagavad Gita, Vishnu Sahasranamam, like that, for proof, authoritative scriptures. So the king sent Akhi Alvan out of his kingdom and gave Yamunacharya as promised half of his kingdom. The queen hailed the boy, Yennai Alavandir Neer. You came to rule me, you came to save me. Yennai Alavandir. That's why he is called Alavandar. Not Alavandan, Alavandar. So the Alavandar has become the king of half of that kingdom. Anyway, then how he became Acharya, that's another story. This Yamunacharya, because of his scholarship, because of his great knowledge, and on Vedantam, he blessed Ramanuja. He did not meet him actually. He went to Kanchipuram, where Ramanuja was about 18 years old. He was with another teacher by name Yadavaprakasha, and he was going around the Kanchipuram temple along with Yadavaprakasha's students. And Alavandar met Tirukachinambi. Alavandar at his ripened old age met Tirukachinambi, another of his Shishya, and he asked Nambi, who is Ramanuja? And from a distance they showed him, yes, 18-year-old, lean, handsome, lanky, very fair complexioned, tall, Tejasvi Ramanuja with Yadava Prakasha. So he blessed him from a distance and went to Kanchipuram Varadaraja Perumal Sannidhi and prayed to him that please bless me with that boy for saving this Sanatana Dharma. And then after a few years, Ramanuja came to Srirangam to meet Yamunacharya as instructed by Periyanambi, and by the time he reached Srirangam, Yamunacharya had already passed away, attained Acharya Trivedi. And then of course he learnt from the 5 Shishyas of Yamunacharya, who became 5 Acharyas, Gurus for Ramanuja. Rest is history. So I just wanted to bring this incident to give the greatness of Yamunacharya. And that Yamunacharya is the one who blessed us with the Gita Sangraham, the summary of Gita, from which our Bhagavad Bhashyakarar, Sri Bhagavad Ramanujacharya, wrote an extensive commentary for each slokam, a beautiful commentary, the Padaurai, Teliurai and nice interpretation in accordance with Shastras and Upanishads, all inspired from Alavanda's Gita Sangraham. Let's enjoy that in the subsequent weeks. We would stop with that. Adiye. Dhanyosmi. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gudashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha.